Okay. Sorry, I'm still getting used to this. I'm just, because it's one platform that goes to another platform, and I read through all the FAQs, and so far I haven't had any problems. And so, but that's what happens, right? You don't learn until something goes wrong. And so now I'm worried that something's going to go wrong. And so I'm being extra cautious with everything. But I think what I'm going to end up doing is setting up a beginning and an end screen. That way I'm not deer in the headlights before and after, or when I hit start and when I hit end. So you guys have to bear with me a little bit, but I believe that by September I'll have this down packed. So my topic today is remembering Babe Ruth on the anniversary of his death. So he passed away August 16th, 1948, at the age of 53. And Babe Ruth absolutely lived a full life. Even though he passed away at the age of 53, he got married, he had kids, he was the American icon of the 1900s. He lived. He was the American bon vivant, right? Like, yeah, once he got to New York, he attended, I mean, it was the roaring 20s, right? He attended all the parties, he drank all the champagne, he smoked all the cigars, he enjoyed the women. And it's not that I forgive him, it's just that because I understand the bell curve and I understand IQ and I understand above average people. Again, if you want a comparison, we look at Michael Jordan. One of the coolest things that I remember about The Last Dance, obviously aside from all the Michael Jordan highlights and all the Michael Jordan awesomeness, is that he told his trainer, I'm going to drink and I'm going to smoke. So you need to prepare my regimen. He wanted to be awesome at basketball, given that he was going to drink and smoke and gamble. And his trainer did it. And so that's just, not everybody can do something like that. So it makes people like Michael Jordan, like Babe Ruth, just, they are on a different level. And above and within that, they didn't murder anybody, they didn't rape anybody, they didn't get involved in domestic altercations. And so these are two above average people that excelled at their craft. I'm going to argue that Michael Jordan was born to play basketball. The reason why the reason why Jordan started to train was because the other Africans in the NBA were hurting him. So he was he wasn't scrawny, but he was definitely skinny, right? So he had to put muscle on his body to withstand the violence coming at him from the Africans in the NBA. And so that's different. Whereas Babe Ruth, I don't know, you know what, I didn't look up how many times he got hit by pitches, but it's different, right? Babe Ruth wasn't playing among Africans. Babe Ruth was playing among Americans, and Americans aren't violent. So it's different, right? Babe Ruth if Babe Ruth needed to train to withstand hit by pitches, it's different, right? It would have been different. But Michael Jordan had to put muscle on because he was playing against Africans in the NBA who were outright trying to hurt him. They were trying to take him out. So huge difference when you play among Americans versus playing amongst Africans. And I admit that I haven't watched this Malice at the Palace, but I do know about it. I believe that the NBA or the sports media called it just two gangs going at each other. And I mean, look, I see some people saying, I watched it. It was the media creating this narrative. But at the same time, Africans are violent. And so maybe later on I'll grab Netflix for a month and kind of see what's going on within that platform, and maybe I'll definitely watch that documentary and kind of see what's going on. Okay, so today we're focusing on Babe Ruth, the passing of Babe Ruth, age 53. Passed away August 16th, 1948. He passed away from cancer. And so the reason why I went on that tangent was Babe Ruth lived the most complete life I believe an American baseball player ever lived. For example, Christy Mathewson definitely passed away before his time. He got accidentally gassed while serving in the United States Army, World War I. He served with Ty Cobb. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't bad genes. So Christy Mathewson definitely passed away before his time. Ty Cobb had issues stemming back from, he was 18 years old when there was that domestic altercation between his mom and his dad. His mom shot his dad. So again, if anybody can claim mental health, it was Ty Cobb, not you weak MLB bitches who get hurt swinging a fucking bat. It's so pathetic. I'm sorry, you guys are just beyond pathetic. And then you've got Walter Johnson, also lived a pretty full life, but we don't hear a lot about him. And then Honus Wagner, another one that we don't hear about, but definitely, I believe, lived a full life too. So, again, just Babe Ruth was Babe Ruth. Born to play baseball. And I'm going to explain. Today, I start explaining a lot of things. This is my lead-in into my Hall of Fame stuff that I'm going to dive into in September. I'm going to embarrass MLB. It's Marxist. It's so-called sports baseball journalists. I'm going to embarrass the league. It's just so pathetic how mediocre everything is about MLB. In addition to them voting into the hall where Babe Ruth resides, just the mediocrity that's in there. And I'm going to argue and prove that a lot of what's been voted into the Hall of Fame is simply because they're African, like Jackie Robinson. And then you've got Hank Aaron, who is just a compiler. Like, it's so sad. I mean, for Mexicans, you know, Mexicans are on the verge of losing their icon. The man who represents Mexico for 80-something years is in critical condition, and Mexico is on the verge of losing its icon, and it's going to be a devastating day for Mexico and Mexicans. And so in the African community, to be represented by a compiler, or more recently a opioid user, mentally ill man. And you know, I believe it was Nick Nolte that made a really outstanding case in defense of what happened to George Floyd, meaning Jews and other Marxists shipped American jobs overseas. So I argue that the way we restore the American economy is by restoring agriculture, farming, manufacturing jobs. And there's a lot of people that are coming out of the shadows because we have to be able to say these things out loud in the face of censorship, in the face of being canceled, in the face of being blocked. We still have to be able to say these things. And I'm going to remind you that the founding fathers started the revolution without phones, without airplanes, without the internet, without social media. They did it with pamphlets, horses, and word of mouth. So those of you who are scared, those of you who don't understand how to get beyond the reach of government, you need to fall back. You need to not get in the way. You need to stand down and fall in line and wait to be given a role, because there are plenty of things that people need to do within their own community to make this successful. I mean, it's so embarrassing that the Middle East showed Americans how it's done. It's so fucking embarrassing that people who live in the sand have shown Americans how you're supposed to do this. It's so embarrassing. And it speaks to the quality of the male living in 2021 in America. This is what the Jews have done to you. This is what the Marxists have done to you. You're just fat lumps of soy, playing video games all day, getting high. You don't have problem solving skills. You don't have critical thinking skills. You don't have logic skills. You're wasting away playing video games. It's on purpose. So the sand people in the Middle East have an advantage over the American male because they're not playing video games. They don't believe in kneeling to others. So it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff, right? We know this. And so back to Babe Ruth. Okay, so just on Babe Ruth, first of all, the greatest American baseball player ever. No amount of engineering from MLB and its Jews will ever be able to carbon copy or surpass Babe Ruth, because Babe Ruth was born to play baseball, and I'm going to talk about why that is. So I'm going to make a lot of arguments today, and I'm going to prove them, and then I'm going to keep proving them going forward. So there are no more baseball milestones for the rest of August. The next baseball milestone is the birth and the passing of A.G. Spalding. In many ways, the father of modern American baseball. And then I actually realized that the reason why baseball started to wane post Babe Ruth is because A.G. Spalding wasn't around. So nobody with A.G. Spalding's gusto for American baseball, his morals, his ethics, his way of thinking, his love for America and American baseball died with him. And that's a lot of the problems that Americans are facing right now, is in the post-Trump era, possibly to be reborn in 2024, you can see that there's nothing to replace Trump. There's a lot of little things here and there. You've got some people pushing for this particular politician who has no record, who has no reputation, who has no substance, and then there's other people pushing others. And you can see that there's no founding father amongst them. There's no Donald J. Trump amongst them. There's just Donald J. Trump right now, and God help us with the rest, because there is no other. And I want to go on record saying that I'm not voting for Larry Elder. apparently Larry Elder called the Biden presidency legitimate. That's a problem. That's somebody that deserves to get booed off stage the way that Arizona lady got booed off stage. And not only that, Larry Elder is a libertarian. That's a huge problem because libertarianism was championed by the Jews. So you can see how badly California is right now. So on the record, I'm not voting for Larry Elder. I've already said this. There's nobody else on the docket. So we'll see how it goes. Regardless, rural California has shown California how to do it. It's thanks to rural California that Gavin Newsom is even in the position of being recalled. So rural California is where it's at in terms of California. Where rural California goes, the rest of California will go in the future, and I'm very excited about that. The people who have a direct stake in the state, creating jobs, that's where we get our food from, right? We grow our own food here. And then once we get the water supply stuff figured out, rural California is absolutely where it's at. And then on top of that, so that there's no grifters, because even though Scott Adams gets upset when you call people, sometimes Scott Adams, there's definitely others, when you call people like that grifters, he gets very upset, which tells me that I believe he knows he's grifting. He's grifting, right? So this isn't a bash Scott Adams session, although I do have my opinions and I have several questions. And maybe if I ever get the opportunity to ask him those questions directly, maybe some of my doubts about him will get answered. But we'll see, right? That's something Scott Adams doesn't have to do anything like that with someone like me, especially at this point where I don't have my street cred yet. And it's okay. It's cool, right? Everybody's got the right to do their thing. But the future of California is rural California. Okay, so Babe Ruth. So again, I didn't intend this to be the beginning of it, but no time like the present. So Babe Ruth proves a lot of things. That's why we should continue celebrating Babe Ruth. We should continue passing down his stories, not stories, the facts about Babe Ruth, everything he accomplished. As you can see, I'm going to be showing you several of my Babe Ruth charts. The largest one, not the one underneath me, the one on my side, shows his career in a nutshell. So Babe Ruth is a 7-time World Series champion. And you can see on the chart that it's random. It's not engineered. So I'm going to admit that one of the things that worries me about Mad Bum is the fact that he won early on in his career and he hasn't won again. I will be able to still make his Hall of Fame career argument without any doubts in my mind that he is right now a Hall of Famer. Nonetheless, it would be nice if Mad Bum was able to garner at least one more championship before he decides to officially retire. So he's got 4 years left in Arizona, right? I don't know. Well, I don't know what his plans are. I don't know. So Mad Bum, I can easily make his Hall of Fame career argument without any doubt. Now there's others though. There are others. So like your Miguel Cabreras, your Albert Pujols, your I'm not sure about Yadier Molina. He might, obviously, Yadier Molina isn't on the Yogi Berra level, but he might be on the Johnny Bench level. So the two greatest catchers ever, Yogi Berra, Johnny Bench, right? We all agree on that. And thereafter, there's just a lot of guys who caught the ball. So I'm not sure about Yadier Molina. I'm going to wait to make a judgment on him. But definitely Miguel Cabrera, Albert Pujols, those. So when I go through the Hall of Fame inductions, you're going to see that those guys aren't special. Basically, Miguel Cabrera is being used in an attempt to erase Ty Cobb, right? The Tigers, Yadier Molina managed to win a couple of titles, but I believe Miguel Cabrera is not a champion. Okay, Ty Cobb wasn't a champion either. The difference between Miguel Cabrera and Ty Cobb is that Ty Cobb wasn't compiling. And again, the reason why there's a culture of compiling in MLB is thanks to the Jews who integrated the sport in 1947. So basically the sport started to go downhill with Jackie Robinson and all the other, your Hank Aaron's. I mean, they inducted Kirby Puckett, who I believe only played for 10 years. What a fucking loser. Like, are you kidding me? And then, so the reason why they probably inducted Kirby Puckett is because you've got Sandy Koufax, who also only played 10 years. And then Jackie Robinson only played 10 years. So again, these aren't Americans. American baseball players are your Babe Ruths, who played 22 seasons. Even Christy Mathewson, who played 17 seasons, Honus Wagner, Walter Johnson, and Ty Cobb. And these guys went into their 40s. I believe Christy Mathewson's the only one that didn't make it into his 40s as a professional baseball player. So Ty Cobb. I like Ty Cobb. I think he was awesome. And I explained the reason why he is called a racist. It's just the Jews. It's just because of the Jews. Okay, so Babe Ruth's career, as you can see, it wasn't engineered. The championships didn't come in clusters. The championships didn't all come at the beginning of his career. They didn't all come at the end of his career. Like Tom Brady, where he went 9 seasons without winning a Super Bowl. That didn't happen with Babe Ruth. That's why Michael Jordan, Tom Brady will never surpass Babe Ruth as the greatest American athlete. It's Babe Ruth, number one. Everybody else is just playing for second place, including Tom Brady. So you can see Babe Ruth's second season, he was a champion. Babe Ruth, toward the end of his career, was a champion. And then there's a lot of championships in between. Something that's very interesting. So before the lockdowns, I had already started researching all of this stuff. And when I would look up how many championships did Babe Ruth win, it comes up as 4. So the internet somehow only catalogs his championships with the Yankees. And that makes sense because up to the purchase of the Yankees by the Steinbrenners, the Yankees were America's team 100%. The Steinbrenners, more notably with cash, have turned it into a team of degenerates. Namely, at least 26 steroid users have gone through the organization during the Steinbrenner-Cashman era. And now, more recently, you've got cheaters, whom I believe Garrett Cole was alluding to. I believe the cheaters that passed down the tradition of sticky stuff comes from Andy Pettitte and CeCe Sabathia. CC Sabathia is another African compiler, and that's the reason why the MLB Marxist media is going to feel compelled to vote him into the Hall of Fame. But we all know that the only reason why he's going to get voted in, if he gets voted in, maybe between now and then, the Marxist MLB media will find its conscience and not vote him in because he doesn't deserve it. It's just a compiler. So I went on that little rant because, what was I saying? I went far away on that one. Oh, because the Steinbrenner, Cashman, Yanking era has brought a lot of degeneracy to America's team, as opposed to championships, right? A lot of degeneracy, domestic abusers, steroid users, and sticky stuff users, sticky stuff cheaters like Garrett Cole, cheater bot Garrett Cole. Okay, so Babe Ruth. Again, Babe Ruth's career is perfect. The championships didn't come in clusters. The championships didn't all come at the beginning of his career. They didn't come all at the end of his career. They're random. So when the Yankees were good and the Boston team was good, they won. There was no engineering happening during the American baseball pioneering era, as opposed to today where everything's engineered. The Andrew Friedman Dodgers so-called championship win of 2020 was engineered because Stan Kasten has been a bureaucrat in American professional sports since like the fucking 70s. Talk about a lifelong bureaucrat. That is it right there. Stan Kasten, a professional sports bureaucrat in America since I believe it's the 1970s. And he in all that time, how many championships do you think a bureaucrat should have? At least 5, 6, right? So Stan Kasten has more television deals than professional sports championships. And the 2 that he has to his name are in shortened season years. That's why, to me, I'm going to prove that the Atlanta Braves championship is just on par with the Andrew Friedman 2020 so-called championship. It's a blip on the radar, right? It's nothing. And so I understand that the Los Angeles Dodgers won the 1981 championship in another season that was altered, but at the same time, I say we, even though that's not something that I remember firsthand, but my dad was a fan of the Dodgers before Fernando, so because my dad was a fan, I'm going to rule it legit. And Stan Kasten wasn't there. So I'm going to rule the 1981 Los Angeles Dodgers championship legit because we had Fernando. I'm going to honor Fernando. If there's a Mexican an MLB player who's Mexican that can represent Mexicans, it's Fernando Valenzuela. So I'm going to add that to my board. And I'm going to celebrate Fernando on a milestone. I don't know his birthday. I don't know he's still alive, so I don't need to worry about his date that he passed away. I'm gonna celebrate Fernando, and I know he had a shortened career too. That's why he didn't get voted into the Hall of Fame. But he had a big impact in Los Angeles because he's legitimate. Maybe he's the best Mexican player MLB has managed to recruit, as opposed to like domestic abusers, thugs that film girls fighting, and just drug mules that MLB has recruited, especially like Andrew Friedman, because he's Jewish. And I'm going to celebrate Fernando. I'm going to figure out a milestone of his and celebrate it on that day. I mean, we've already been through, if you have a sombrero, throw it to the sky. That's a pretty awesome milestone, because it celebrates Vince Scully and Fernando. But okay, so back to Babe Ruth. Again, today we remember Babe Ruth on the anniversary of his death, August 16th, 1948. He passed away at age 53 from cancer. But Babe Ruth lived. He lived. So we cannot be sad about the fact that he passed away at 53. Maybe we can be sad by the fact that baseball lost its last true, well, because Ty Cobb outlived him and Cy Young outlived him. So American baseball still had icons and ambassadors. So Babe Ruth, maybe he rested. He needed to rest. And some people, it seems like they want to argue that Babe Ruth was murdered because of all the tobacco products that he consumed and helped sell. So I don't know. But Babe Ruth definitely lived a full life. Does David John LeMahieu chew? He put something in his cheek, right? The only thing, I'm not going to try to be his mom. I'm not old enough to be his mom. But let me be someone who cares. Figure out how not to, if you're chewing, figure out how not to get cancer because of the chew. I know a lot of people who chew, mostly people in the South. It's a thing. The Irish kind of do it too. So just be careful. David John, right? Just be careful. We need you to live a long, long time. We need you to expand your family. So be careful, please. So again, back to Babe Ruth. So Babe Ruth has had the perfect career. That's why Michael Jordan, let's face it, it's Michael Jordan, Tom Brady for number 2, right? But no one will ever catch Babe Ruth because Babe Ruth had the perfect career. It's random. The championships were won when the teams were the best in the league. Boston and New York. I want to call them the Boston Pilgrims. I don't know when they officially became the Boston Red Sox. Maybe by 1915 they were the Boston Red Sox, right? But during Cy Young's years, you could still call them the Boston Pilgrims, which I believe is very fitting, given that so much of America centers is based in Boston. So I've got to get out to Boston. I've got to make a trek out to Boston for sure. I need to see a lot of stuff, a lot of things over there. And it's good for my kid anyway to tour Boston and see Boston. Okay, so obviously the home run king is Babe Ruth. You can see in the orange all the home run titles Babe Ruth garnered. And the thing is, unlike Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth wasn't compiling home runs. And then you can see that within all of those years that Babe Ruth garnered home run titles, the team garnered championships. So Babe Ruth's first home run title with 11 home runs was 1918 with Boston. Boston won the championship that year. You can see that the year that Babe Ruth garnered the home run title and the RBI title, the New York Yankees won their first championship. So Babe Ruth put the Yankees on the map. Babe Ruth turned the New York Yankees into America's team, 1923 through 1934, right? Again, Babe Ruth garnered the home run title in 1927, 1928. The Yankees won championships those seasons as well. 1932, Babe Ruth did not garner the home run title, yet the Yankees won. Nonetheless, Babe Ruth hit 41 home runs, garnered 137 RBIs, and his batting average was 341. So there are people out there, I believe, call the 1932 Yankees the best team ever. For me, that's irrelevant. It's irrelevant the way the MVP award in 2021 is irrelevant. The way the Cy Young award in 2021 is irrelevant. The way the Rookie of the Year is irrelevant, right? They purposely gave it to two Africans in 2020. Sure, whatever. So a lot of these, in 2021, the media voted awards are irrelevant, and they've been irrelevant for a long time. Something else I'm going to prove easily. Like, don't even try to counter argue. You're just stupid if you try it. And I don't hold back talking about the MLB Marxist media because my opinion of them, they're like gutter level. Like, and okay, does that mean that they can talk to me that way? Sure, but I can make you guys cry. So, whatever. You guys are gutter level Marxists. Just carrying out a Marxist agenda on behalf of the Jews. So, I mean, how do you expect me to have a higher opinion of you guys? You can't. You cannot. So, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. It is what it is. Okay, so I put in gray the year Babe Ruth garnered or was given the MVP award. And again, the MVP award has been irrelevant for several years. I put it in gray as opposed to a bold color because during the Babe Ruth era, the MVP award was new. No American baseball player could win it twice. And they were still trying to figure it out. But I do want to show that the year Babe Ruth earned the MVP award, he won the home run title, he won the RBI title, and he hit, it's a little blurry on my end. Let me pull up that chart. And something I'm trying to figure out is there's a lot of nature noises around. I hope one of the dogs doesn't decide to come bark. Otherwise, you guys are going to hear that. So something that I know that when I read through the FAQs of this software, there was something about background noise. So I'm trying to figure out. So I'm still using my microphone. What? I'm sorry. I am awesome. I tell my mom that I'm like perfect. And she's like, there's no such thing as a perfect person. And I tell her, well, the Guzman family is pretty perfect. And we're pretty awesome, the Guzmans. My family tree isn't like Cap Anson's family tree where his ancestors descend from the English Navy and then just have so much awesomeness from there down to him. And it's not even like A.G. Spalding's family tree, which descends from, I believe, lawyers and stuff like that. You can have an awesome, humble family tree. And mine is an awesome, humble family tree. And apparently, it's going to continue with me, even though I never wanted it to be like this. This isn't, again, I'm such an outlier. It's crazy, and I'm not, the last thing I'm trying to be is an inspiration to young women to follow the path that I ended up on. I don't want that for you. I want you to follow Brittany, I can't remember her last name, but she was out there with Lauren Southern, doing the rally coverage stuff, 2016. I'd rather you follow her path, where you do something very much in your early 20s like that. You live a little bit, but then you get married. Now she's pregnant. I don't know when she's due. But I'd rather you follow her path than mine. You have to be very strong and secure and accepting of the things, of the consequences of your choices, of the consequences of the gifts that you have. Like, it's everyone can't do what I've done. Every female can't do what I've done. And so I hesitated because I was told several years ago by a colleague, they're like, you can't be the example. But it's because our situation was one where we were being forced to conform to stuff, and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And so they loved me, but I couldn't be the example, rightly so. And so that's one of the reasons why I can understand a Michael Jordan, a Babe Ruth, like the way that they lived, it's different. And so Stefan Molyneux points this out. The higher your IQ, the more opportunities you have at your disposal, and among those opportunities is failure. You can fail because you can bounce back quicker than someone with a lower IQ who has less choices available to them. And so that's what I mean about some people need to make peace with the roles that they're destined to fill. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with being destined with a 40-hour work week at a manufacturing job that allows you to take care of your family on one income so your wife can stay home and raise your kids. And maybe your children's IQ will be higher than yours, and maybe they will use their IQ for good to keep your legacy going on. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you're the starting point of something good. For your family, for your country, we need a lot of that right now. If there's any truth to the fact that the white population dropped according to the 2020 census, we need stable people to be their starting point for their family. Okay, so I shouldn't be doing this, but so I'm looking at Babe Ruth's chart because I want to see his batting average for that year that he garnered the MVP award. Because I can't see it clearly. It's too blurry on my end. So 1923, he batted .393. So did Babe Ruth deserve the MVP award in 1923? Absolutely. Unlike when it's given to, when the MLB Marxist media gives it to Mike Trout, or they want to give it to Shohei Ohtani, or they want to give it to Tatis. How fucking embarrassing. Like, you want to give it to that, where Babe Ruth won it because the Yankees won that year. He won the batting title. He won the RBI title. And he was a batting average short of winning the Triple Crown that year. So I have not looked up. It's .393, right? I did pick up the right year. Yeah, because 378. Okay, so, I mean, I should have looked up before this who did win the batting title that year and what was the batting average, because 393 is nothing to sneeze at. It's nothing to sneeze at. So keep embarrassing yourselves, Marxist MLB media. You have no credibility. All your media awards are irrelevant. What matters are these statistics. Somebody called them key statistics. I call them statistics that matter. But I think I'm on the same wavelength as the person who said that or who tweeted that out. So Babe Ruth is the greatest American baseball player ever. There will never be others. Everybody else is just playing for second place, or you're being engineered because MLB sucks so bad that nobody's watching. There's nothing engineered in his career. You can see that the championships, that's what's really more important, is that the championships are random. They're not clustered at the beginning of his career. They're not clustered at the end of his career. They're spread out. So when his teams were the best teams, that's when they won the championships. Additionally, Babe Ruth's contributions to the championships are evident. I wanted to make sure, so that little tiny green box that you see with I believe it's 175, Babe Ruth, on top of all of Babe Ruth's home run titles, RBI titles, batting title, Babe Ruth also garnered an ERA title. The third season of his career, he pitched a total ERA of 175 in 1916, another championship year for Boston. So Babe Ruth's career is awesome. There's nothing engineered about it. He was born to play baseball, and that's what burns MLB. That's what burns MLB's Marxists, MLB's Jews, MLB's Africans, MLB's Latinos, is the fact that this dude was born to play baseball, and he was a bon vivant. He gained weight. He was the friendliest guy on earth. Like, I looked up Babe Ruth obituaries, and the obituaries weren't very nice. Like, the one from the New York Times, like, what the fuck was this guy on? So I've had those experiences. So let me tell you, the last time I got weighed, I was down a significant amount in 4 months. And I was not expecting that, because I'm going to tell you something. I do not feel lighter. And so, oh, sorry. So I didn't put my water near me. And I'm going to talk at least another hour. So I never wanted to do this, but I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to stand up and go get my water. I've seen other people do this, and I always think it looks so bad. But I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to go get my water. I'll be right back. Okay. Apologies for that. And this is actually good to see what the sound sounds like when I'm not wearing the microphone. So this is actually good. Good stuff. Everything is an opportunity to improve. Everything is a learning opportunity, right? Like, I feel that's so cliche when moms say that. They've said it, not to me, but in conversations with moms. Because with them, I can't have conversations about my kid, right? Because I'm trying to understand stuff, right? And they'll say, oh, that was such a wonderful learning opportunity. Like, Dear God. Okay. But it also has to do with where you live, right? I lived for a long time. I lived somewhere where that was the common culture. And so you take everything and you learn from it is still the overriding point. So I found this stuff. Now I have to look up, maybe this is a Jew that wrote it, and that's why he's so bitter. Oh, so I know what it's like to be around bitter people. So my weight thing, I lost a significant amount, and I was shocked. I haven't been, okay, a lot of things right here. I'm still not exercising. And I can't, so I am going to take up a lunge squat regimen because I'm noticing not loose skin, but I'm noticing skin that needs to be tightened up. And I know that my body knows that it's thin, and so I'm going to have to help it in that sense. And so I'm going to adopt a lunge squat regimen, but I can't exercise right now. This wisdom tooth is the one that was impacted, and it was curled, and it was nearing the nerve. It was ready to infuse into my jawbone, and it was giving me problems for the last 2 years, food getting stuck in there, and it broke something on one of my teeth, and it shifted the molar right in front of it. It's like this instead of like this. So over the last 2 years, that molar was just determined to sprout one way or another. It caused a mess. And so I feel a lot better. So I feel a lot better than I did last Thursday, Friday. It's almost like the nerve has healed itself, and I'm so happy because I had a night. I can share stuff like this. I had a night where it was midnight. I was like, oh my God, why do I have teeth and nerves? And so I stopped taking the pain medication for a week, and I was fine. But over the weekend, midnight, it was bad. And I took it, and I was able to go to sleep because I guess it relieves the inflammation. So I was still experiencing inflammation in the nerves. And so I feel a lot better, but I still don't want to exercise, right? Because I have a yoga routine that I do. I got it for free several years ago. I think she's awesome. So it's a 25-minute intense yoga routine, and I use that to test myself. Can I still do a push-up? Am I still flexible? It's just, I personally don't like yoga that doesn't make you sweat. I need an intense workout to feel like I'm alive. I don't know. And so I can't do that right now because I'm scared of hurting myself. I'm scared of reigniting or what's the word? I'm scared of hurting the nerve. It's healing. I don't want to get in the way of that. So in one of my earlier streams, I asked, what happens the day I can't exercise? If you rely on exercise for weight loss, there will come a time in your life where you cannot exercise, and you better be prepared for that. You're going to balloon, right? If your body's used to burning fat through exercise alone, what are you going to do when you can't exercise? And I'm in that situation. I've been in that situation for a while. And so I'm ready to re-adopt a squat lunge routine for my thighs. It's for my thighs, and but I can't right now. So I'm still relying on a good diet. Okay, so that means I got into this because when the last time I was weighed, I lost a significant amount in just 4 months, and I don't feel lighter, which is weird, but okay. And so the lady who weighed me, I believe, okay, I'm younger than Tom Brady, but I believe that I'm older than the workforce, the average age of the workforce. And okay, I don't know. I'm saying that most people in the workforce right now are in their 30s, and I'm not in my 30s anymore. And so she was so bitter about it. I was celebrating on the scale because she took my blood pressure afterwards, and she's like, you've got to calm down, because I can't. She wasn't able to get a good reading because I was like, I'm awesome. And so, but she was so bitter about it. Like, okay. So this obituary from the archives of the New York Times, the title says, Babe Ruth, baseball's great star and idol of children, had a career both dramatic and bizarre. So Babe Ruth has passed away. You've been tasked with writing his obituary, and you are obviously a bitter fuck who has the audacity to write that kind of headline. Why didn't somebody who actually wanted to honor Babe Ruth write it instead? Like, you have to be a jerk about it. So the name is Murray Schumach. Is that Jewish? If it's not Jewish, then this dude was a Marxist. I'm assuming he's not alive anymore. So this is from the archives. Yeah, August 17th, 1948. So, dude, what the fuck? Like, bitter much? So, again, as a female, I pushed against a lot of things. So have I accomplished Babe Ruth stuff? Have I accomplished Michael Jordan stuff? No. But I know what it's like to be an outlier. And that's why I don't bash Babe Ruth, Michael Jordan's actions. I will definitely bash the actions of mediocrity that MLB recruits, because it's a completely different story. They're recruiting degeneracy, steroid users, domestic abusers, cheaters, degenerates on purpose. And I'm going to prove that in September. In September, I'm going all in on this stuff after I give A.G. Spalding his week. But I'm going all in September, October. Let's see if I can go all in through December. I still have some other stuff that I have to do. And then, so December, when do the Hall of Fame ballots get mailed out? Is it December? Or it's December, and then January is when they start revealing their ballots after the deadline, right? So I will definitely be all in December and January, and then maybe December I'm going to use it with something else. So going all in this September. I don't plan on streaming the rest of this week. Next week I'm going to give the people who signed the founding documents their due. So next week I'm going to go all Monday through Friday, at least an hour each day. I'm still testing a lot of this stuff. I'm trying to think if I have some other stuff to do. I'm not sure yet, but we'll figure it out. So back to Babe Ruth. the greatest American baseball player ever, who was born to play baseball, not engineered. His career is perfect. It will never be duplicated because Babe Ruth's career is random. It's not clustered. Whereas, again, Tom Brady, we know he is the greatest NFL player ever. Even though he's Marxist, his career speaks for itself. And the reason why I will defend NFL Tom Brady is because they're trying to cancel him just because he's white. So again, that shows you, even though Tom Brady is Marxist, they're still going to eat you alive just because he's white. Like, I mean, that's up to him to figure out. I believe Tom Brady is super diplomatic. His diplomacy skills for me continue to be amazing. He's Marxist though, so he's married. Now, I'm going to be very careful about this because Tom Brady has a family and I would never want his children to experience divorce. I would never want his children to experience shared custody. I would never want his children to experience anything that comes with those things. So I'm going to be super, super careful about this. But Tom, like Justin, let me use Justin Verlander. So Justin Verlander's a cheater and a nerd, right? He managed to marry a model by lesser standards. So Kate Upton is beautiful. But Kate Upton is not a supermodel. She's not Christy Brinkley. She's not Cindy Crawford's supermodel level, right? She's the step down below that. Additionally, Kate Upton made her career by taking her clothes off or taking a lot of her clothes off. And so she's gorgeous, right? We know this. She's a blonde bombshell. So she married a nerd who cheats in baseball. I don't believe Justin Verlander's cheating on his wife. Okay, so because Justin Verlander's a nerd and he married an extremely beautiful woman, Justin Verlander is beholden to her whims. Justin Verlander will never be able to land another Kate Upton if something happened within their marriage. So it's not Tom Brady. Could Tom Brady land better than Giselle? Absolutely. Like, he could. Justin Verlander, not so much. But it shows you what's happening right now with Marxist men and women. So Marxist men feel accomplished if they land an extremely beautiful woman. Justin Verlander, Kate Upton. And I'm sure there are a lot more examples of this, but I can't think of them right now, and that's not the topic of the day. So anyways, the point is, Tom Brady's career has a gap in the middle. Tom Brady's career, whatever he was going through, again, regardless of what he was going through, Tom Brady is still the greatest NFL player. But Tom Brady will never be the greatest American athlete because it also goes into his training regimen. Babe Ruth did not have to train to hit home runs. Babe Ruth hit home runs because he was born to hit home runs. Babe Ruth wasn't born to strike out. Babe Ruth was born to get hits, accomplish extremely insane batting averages, RBIs, home runs, right? Babe Ruth was born for that. Whereas I believe Tom Brady was born to be an NFL player, but Tom Brady's longevity doesn't come from birth. It comes from engineering, right? Like, okay, and this is not me bashing his brand at all. Maybe Tom Brady's longevity comes from his workout regimen, but does that work? Tom Brady was born for that. Was everybody else born for that? Probably not. Now, if you still want to try Tom Brady's regimen, do it, right? Do it. If you believe it works for you, do it. This isn't me trying to crush his brand. If you want to try it just to try it, of course you can, right? But Tom Brady, maybe what he was born with was limited. Whereas Babe Ruth, we can see in 1932 hit 41 home runs, 1933 hit 34 home runs, 22 in 1934, and then we know that he ended up in Boston. Okay, so that's that. So now let's talk about another reason why Tom Brady will never dethrone Babe Ruth, even though Tom Brady is there with Michael Jordan for sure. We know this. So the chart below me, I love this chart. This is a good chart. So what I did was every season that Babe Ruth pitched, I give you his pitching statistics and I give you his batting statistics. So, I mean, look, obviously there are seasons where Babe Ruth pitched a game and 9 innings and that's it. Okay, so obviously those are the seasons where Babe Ruth had his insane home run RBI seasons. But while he was in Boston, he had outstanding pitching batting seasons. And so for example, let's look at the championship years, because that's the argument that shows that you can't counter argue any of this. You can be stupid and attempt to counter argue, but you're not going to win. You're just going to show your own stupidity, your own bitterness, your own Marxism, your own nerdiness. You can't counter argue any of this, and you cannot counter argue Babe Ruth, or you cannot counter argue Babe Ruth's statistics, career. It's perfect. It's random. There will never be anything else like this, at least not through MLB. Maybe I'm going to find Babe Ruth 2.0. Maybe the person that comes after me will find Babe Ruth 2.0. But as far as MLB is concerned, you're never going to get Babe Ruth 2.0 in that nonsense. Okay, so 1915, Babe Ruth started 28 games as a pitcher, pitched in 32, pitched 217 innings, garnered 18 wins, 8 losses, struck out 112 batters, ended up with an ERA of 2.44, completed 16 games, and threw 1 shutout. That same year, Babe Ruth batted in 42 games, had 92 at-bats, had 29 hits, 21 RBIs, struck out 23 times, ended up with a batting average of .315 and hit 4 home runs. So did Babe Ruth contribute to the Boston team winning the championship that year? Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Okay? Absolutely. Let's look at 1916, another championship year for Boston. He started in 41 games, pitched in 44, pitched 323.2 innings, won 23 games, lost 12, struck out 170, earned his ERA title of 175, completed 23 games, and pitched 9 shutouts. On pitching alone, many others have said this too now. If Babe Ruth had remained a pitcher Babe Ruth would have got into the Hall of Fame as a pitcher. And I believe he would have outdone Christy Mathewson. Walter Johnson, I don't know. But it would have been up there for sure. Now let's look at his batting statistics for that championship year for Boston in 1916. Batted in 67 games, had 136 at-bats, hit 37 home runs, 15 RBIs, struck out 23 times, and garnered a batting average of 272. Well, okay, so that's the last category there. Did Babe Ruth contribute to the 1916 Boston team winning another championship? Abso-fucking-lutely. Again, what am I doing right now? I'm proving the nonsense that Mike Trout was ever an MVP. I'm proving the nonsense that A-Rod was ever an MVP. I'm proving the nonsense that Shohei Ohtani is supposedly an MVP. I'm proving the nonsense that Jacob deGrom is an MVP. I'm proving the nonsense that Tatis is a junior, is an MVP. I'm proving the nonsense. Who else are MLB Marxists pushing forward? I think those are the top ones, right? I mean, you guys just embarrass yourselves continually. And what I've noticed is they're selling it harder. Like, you add all sorts of adjectives to your nonsense tweets, and you discredit yourself every time. And again, you can cry about this. I want you to cry. Like, I'm at the point where I think so little of the Marxist MLB media. I want to make you cry, and I'm gonna laugh. And so if MLB wants to live and die by the Negro League standard, do it. I personally don't mind. What I know is that none of MLB's mediocrity, obviously there's a few exceptions like Randy Johnson, Curt Schilling, but very few of MLB Marxist picks for Hall of Fame deserve to live in the same hall as Babe Ruth. So the separation, the secession, I don't know what to call it. It's coming. Because, again, when I go through those Hall of Fame inductions from, I believe it's the 90s, early 2000s, it's a bunch of Latinos. It's a bunch of Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, are there Venezuelans in there? And they're all mediocre. They literally were voted in just because they're Latino. They weren't voted in on merit. Like the way Kirby Puckett was voted in because he's African. There's a lot of mediocrity residing in the same hall as Babe Ruth, and I reject it 100%. We've got to, no. We've got to move on. We've got to move on from MLB, is what I know. Let's do another one. So, Boston's other championship year, 1918. Babe Ruth started as a pitcher, 19 games. This is a good one. Started 19 games, pitched in 20, pitched 166.1 innings, won 13 games, lost 7, struck out 40 batters, ended with an ERA of 2.22, completed 18 games, and pitched 1 shutout. On the batting side, this is a good one because all of his batting statistics start to increase, right? He batted in 95 games, had 317 at-bats, 95 hits, 66 RBIs, struck out 58 times. That's when he hit 11 home runs. But a batting average of 300, an ERA of 222. 19 games started as a pitcher, 130 games batting. And I'm going to tell you why Shohei Ohtani is a sad attempt at Babe Ruth 2.0. Sad. Babe Ruth pitched complete games. How many complete games has Shohei Ohtani pitched? Ever? Let's do ever. Like, has he pitched any? Right. How many complete games have Jacob deGrom pitched? Ever. Let's do ever. Let's not even go season by season. Complete games, ever. Okay? Yeah. I want you guys to cry, because you can't counter-argue any of this. You cannot counter-argue any of this. Your attempt to counter-argue this shows your stupidity. Your willful stupidity. You're just being stupid at this point. You cannot counter-argue any of this. So my favorite chart that I put together is Babe Ruth's pitching, batting statistics in one. You can really, the chart on my side shows his awesome career, unengineered career. His career was great because it's random. There's nothing engineered about it. His championships didn't come in the beginning. They're not clustered at the beginning. They're not clustered at the end. Like Tom Brady, whose championships are clustered in the beginning, clustered now in the end, and then you've got a hollow middle. That's why Tom Brady, the greatest NFL player, will never dethrone Babe Ruth as the greatest American athlete, because Babe Ruth contributed to his team's championships, first of all. Second of all, when the team was good, they won, as opposed to, all the pieces are put together right, now they're going to win. No. When the teams were good, they won. Babe Ruth contributed to those wins too. Okay. So, let's, so I want to show you a summary of Babe Ruth's greatness. So something I haven't talked about is Babe Ruth is also still in several top 20 categories. RBIs, home runs, obviously, batting average. He's even in the top 20 in ERA. Yeah. So, the awesomeness of Babe Ruth is real. And I want to, which chart? Babe Ruth, when I'm putting these charts together, it gives me a little bit of problems because I put him as a batter, not a pitcher. I mean, you know what? I'm going to redo some of these charts, and I'm going to add Babe Ruth to the pitching statistics because I'm trying to remember. Oh, okay, I do have it. I believe he ended with an ERA of 220. Here we go. 228. That's a top 20 ERA. Total innings, 1,211.1. Total games started, 148. Total games pitched, 163. Total wins, 94. Total strikeouts, 488. Total complete games, 107. Total shutouts, 17. Yeah. Shohei Ohtani is a sad attempt by MLB to sell him as Babe Ruth 2.0. It's not going to happen. So this chart below me shows you the years that Babe Ruth garnered his titles and garnered his championships. It's just another FYI chart. So this is the chart where I need to add Babe Ruth to the pitching side. He deserves his due because he is in the top 20 ERA. And pitchers who don't pitch at least 1,211 innings, 0.1, you shouldn't even be in Hall of Fame consideration. Again, I'm putting off the Mariano Rivera stuff because I hesitate. I'm not going to attack him. This isn't about attacking anybody. Again, I'm not picking on people on purpose. You put yourselves in a situation to be picked on. The MLB Marxist media is in on it, so you guys deserve it. You deserve to be picked on at this point. You guys are just being stupid at this point. But like Mariano Rivera is a man of God, and he's pro-Trump, and he wasn't afraid who knew it. And it's not his fault that the Steinbrenner Cashman Yankees recruited him to be a closer. The problem is what comes after Mariano Rivera is mediocrity, right? All of MLB's narratives are used to justify future mediocrity. And so is Mariano Rivera a Hall of Famer? I'm going to look into it. Right now, I don't think so. And that's not an attack on Mariano Rivera, the man. It's not even an attack on Mariano Rivera, the baseball player. It's the narrative behind Mariano Rivera. It's what comes after Mariano Rivera, which is MLB's justification for mediocrity in the future. And that is where I draw the line. Okay, so I want to point out another really cool chart that I put together that I will be sharing probably September, maybe later on, is I looked at the highest average salary per season. And on my Twitter, there is a chart that I tweeted out showing, I believe, the top 20 paid MLB players. And so the top spot goes to steroid user Alex Rodriguez, who isn't an American. I still haven't confirmed. I can't remember if he's Dominican or Puerto Rican, but if he's Dominican, then MLB's continued use of A-Rod falls into line with my belief that the reason why MLB defends, protects, and nurtures Dominicans is because they have a lineage that's 90% African. So it's not Dominicans, it's the Africanism behind them. And that's the Jewish thing right now, is partnering up with Africans, even if they only have a lineage of 90% African. So this chart, Babe Ruth was the highest paid. Okay. Babe Ruth was the highest average paid player for several seasons. Now, Babe Ruth, unlike Willie Mays, garnered titles and championships while he was being paid the most, the highest average annually. And you can see here, so Babe Ruth was paid a season average of $52,000 from 1922 through 1926. And what happened? The Yankees in 1922 were the World Series runner-ups. In 1923, the Yankees won their first championship ever. 1926, the Yankees were the World Series runner-up. And so then Babe Ruth, his salary climbed, and then it fell back down. So it seems like there was a push by baseball to push Babe Ruth out. They were trying to make room for others. I can buy Yogi Berra. I can buy Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle. I don't buy Lou Gehrig. Who are other popular Yankees of that time? Or around that time? The post-Babe Ruth, the nearing of the post-Babe Ruth era. I like Joe DiMaggio. I like him a lot. I still compare DJ LeMahieu to Joe DiMaggio, and I believe that's an honor. It's going to be fine. However David John's 2021 season turns out, I'm not worried. I know that DJ LeMahieu in the clutch does his thing. And then additionally, pitchers are coming after him, right? What the fuck was up with Shane Bieber going after his head twice earlier this season? Jerk. But so pitchers are also going after DJ LeMahieu because, you don't go after the mediocre baseball player, right? You go after the badass, which DJ LeMahieu is. Okay, so other statistics from when Babe Ruth was the highest paid, the highest average paid player per season. The Yankees won their championship in 1927, 1928, 1932. So, again, MLB gets integrated, or American baseball gets integrated, becomes MLB, thanks to the Jews. What happens? You get your Hank Aaron's and your Willie Mays, Hank Aaron was just a compiler, and Willie Mays was just a dude doing tricks in the outfield. He only garnered one champion, even though he received the highest average salary per season a few times. That's a big chart. It's a lot of information on that chart. Because that's when you see it, you'll see that I pulled the pay numbers, and I also pulled the teams that won the World Series and the runner-up teams. And you'll see that Willie Mays was not worth it. It was just San Francisco starting its path toward Global Homo in 2021. They did it just because Willie Mays is African. Is Willie Mays still alive? I guess if he's still alive, here I am giving my opinion while he's still alive, unlike MLB cowards who attack Ty Cobb and Cap Anson when they're very much dead. Cowards. Okay, so let's go back. What other chart is super cool? Do you guys want to look at this one for a while? Let's look at this one for a while I keep talking. So now, because I did not screenshot this. I should have screenshot it. I did post the link though. So this is from the Smithsonian in their magazine. The Smithsonian seems to be Babe Ruth friendly. On Babe Ruth Day, the Smithsonian has this really cool video. I believe it's 3 minutes long, celebrating Babe Ruth. So I don't know, maybe the Smithsonian, I don't know. We know that most museums, right, at this point are Marxist. They're taking down statues. They're selling off art. That Americans who are into the arts, who abide by the founding documents, because some child in a suit or a child that hangs out with children in suits said that if such and such, then you don't belong in the conservative movement. Well, I want to go on record saying I'm not with the conservative movement. I am with the movement that adheres to the principles espoused by the founding fathers, the 53 men who signed the Declaration of Independence, your Thomas Jeffersons, Ben Franklins, George Washingtons, John Adams, James Madisons, who set the standard, who weren't every Sunday going church men, who believed in a higher power even if they were deists. Like, I don't care about your so-called national movements. I don't care about your threats. I don't care about your conservatism. The American right begins with the founding fathers, and that's not conservative. Like, it's America. And I make no apologies for it. I think we're better off. Again, we are better off without a national movement. We already know that everyone and their mom who grifts off the American right. We know this. So these children in suits who make threats, okay, child, sit down. Prove yourself first, and then maybe your threats will be taken more seriously. But as of right now, they're just not. And so Americans who respect the American founders, and you have money, like resources, there are museums out there, even these tiny ones, who are selling off American art. But like everything else, it just falls in line to what they're doing with taking down statues. They're selling off the art to erase America and Europe. They're not selling it off. Sure, they need to fund their operations, but they're selling. Why are they selling that off, right? Why aren't they selling other stuff? Why aren't they searching for alternatives? So the American philanthropists with your Morgans and your robber barons. If I say robber barons, you know who I'm talking about. Their philanthropy was centered around the arts, public libraries, museums, stuff that the public could enjoy for free, parks. So if there are any Americans who respect the founding fathers and you have resources, there are museums selling off American art, I believe, in an attempt to erase America and erase Europe. So toss that out there. Hopefully some of you guys will see it and do your thing. Put your resources to good use. The arts. Okay, so the Smithsonian mag is still, or the Smithsonian is still Babe Ruth friendly. So I guess maybe they're not super Marxist yet. I posted the link to their article, Why Was Babe Ruth So Good at Hitting? It's a great article. And other sites have caught Popular Mechanics has also published maybe their explanation of this, but there are others who have picked it up. So again, you got MLB, run by Jews, Marxists, and Africans, and they are dead set on erasing Babe Ruth's legacy, and they're trying to engineer their version of Babe Ruth 2.0, right? They're trying to do their thing. And so there's a lot of engineering going on. I haven't heard a lot about Driveline in several months. Now, I don't know if it's because I know for myself, I tweeted out several times that if you are a dude who wants to be considered a baseball player and you use all that tech, you're not real. You're just a bot. You're just an engineered bot. You should probably be bagging groceries for minimum wage, right? You're not a baseball player. but you don't want to bag groceries, right? So you agree to be a bot for MLB, and you agree to let them test on you, and you agree to get injured and let them operate on you. So you're not a baseball player, you're just a dude. You're just a science experiment, right? Let me adjust this really quick. Does that look okay? Okay, so we'll do that. The other day, my head, the way I adjusted everything, my head was getting cut off. So we'll just leave it like that for now. Now, it boils the blood of MLB Marxists that they can't come up with something better than Babe Ruth. Because Babe Ruth was a bon vivant living his life, right? He didn't adhere to polite society standards, and he drank and he smoked and he enjoyed the women. He wasn't a member of polite society, right? You wouldn't invite him to your polite society gathering or your polite society dinner, because he probably wouldn't have had the best table manners, and he didn't speak proper English. He was a dude. He was a dude, and everybody loved him. 57,000, I believe, attended Babe Ruth Day. And then the stadium was surrounded by people, and they turned up the loudspeaker so that the people outside, the thousands and thousands outside the stadium, could also hear Babe Ruth speak at least one last time at old Yankee Stadium. And so I believe it boils the blood of MLB Marxists and their media and their Africans and their Latinos that this guy, who would not fit in polite society, dared to be the greatest baseball player ever. And then on top of the fact that he's an American, right? Shohei Ohtani, not an American, but apparently not proud to be Japanese either. He never wanted to play for Japan. Jesus, I would never say something like that. Like, whoa, right? I defend America and I defend Mexico. I would never say, ooh, America, ooh, Mexico. It says a lot about Ohtani. Maybe Japan needs to reject this guy who didn't want to play for you guys. So again, I think one of the reasons why they hate Babe Ruth is just the fact that he wouldn't have been a member of polite society, and it just boils their blood that this dude had the audacity to be the greatest baseball player ever. But it's simple. It's because he was literally born to play baseball. Literally, that's what science concluded. Okay. So if you look at this Smithsonian article, there's an introduction. I guess this was published February 6, 2017, on his birthday that year. So this was Smithsonian's mag celebrating Babe Ruth's birthday, which is pretty awesome. So, Ruth was widely acknowledged to be an excellent baseball player, both in terms of his pitching and his hitting. His massive popularity helped to cement his legacy as a baseball legend. But it helped that he was genuinely an excellent player. Some of the records that he set continue to stand even today. Ruth's signature move was the home run. Before he came along, home runs were relatively unusual in baseball, but Ruth's career, which stretched for 22 seasons between 1914 and 1935, was the beginning of the home run era. His skill, combined with his popularity as a cultural figure, meant that people asked what his secret was. So why was Babe Ruth hitting home runs? So Cap Anson had his share of home runs. Now, it was just treated differently back then. There were a lot of inside the park home runs too, by Cap Anson. But it was different back then. They just looked at it a little bit different. Ty Cobb used to go around the bases. Ty Cobb used to score runs stealing the bases. Like, got on first, stole second, stole third, stole home. So I need to talk more about that next time, because MLB, that Jackie Robinson, he wasn't safe. Yogi Berra's right. Jackie Robinson wasn't safe at home. He was out. But MLB tries to sell Jackie Robinson with the whole stealing home thing. But what is that really? That's MLB's attempt to erase Ty Cobb's accomplishments of stealing home. And Ty Cobb didn't just steal home. He stole the entire way around. So Ty Cobb, I take Ty Cobb over Jackie Robinson any day of the week, any game. Ty Cobb. Give me Ty Cobb. Okay, so baseball was always a sport attractive to scientists. Unfortunately, baseball attracts nerds. The Knickerbockers, 1845, right? The Knickerbockers were just a group of guys, men, getting together to play this game. They weren't so statistically minded. They weren't nerds. They weren't attracting all these other nerds. Unfortunately, baseball attracts nerds. Unfortunately. Nerds, on the record, you will not be welcome. Stay away. Baseball had stats as early as the 1880s, and the rules of the game are fairly simple. So it's not surprising that the search for Ruth's secret sauce involved a lot of science. Well, okay, that's actually not a true statement. So Babe Ruth wasn't like Christy Mathewson, who was calculating stuff in his brain. Babe Ruth was out there looking for his pitches, and he was well aware that he could strike out looking for his pitch, trying to hit a home run. But there's nothing. Babe Ruth was intelligent, but he wasn't Christy Mathewson intellectual. So science found what made Babe Ruth great. It wasn't science that made Babe Ruth great. Huge distinction. Huge. Just like there's a difference between being intelligent and being an intellectual. You're born intelligent. You become an intellectual. And I like Christy Mathewson. I love his book. Maybe that's my favorite baseball book. But I would make Walter Johnson my number one. Maybe Cy Young. I definitely want Mad Bum on my team. I think Greinke is a better version of Christy Mathewson. Maybe Christy Mathewson was Greinke. I don't know. Maybe in that case, then I would dig Christy Mathewson more. But Christy Mathewson wouldn't be my number one. Walter Johnson, Cy Young, Christy Mathewson, Mad Bum Greinke, Randy Johnson, Curt Schilling. That's my pitching squad. My batting squad, obviously Ty Cobb, Babe Ruth, Honus Wagner, DJ LeMahieu for sure. And then from there, I guess I have to look at the positions. and then like to figure out my lineup. But I definitely want the Hall of Fame first 5 members on my team. I want them, no doubt. Okay, so again, science discovered what made Babe Ruth great. Science didn't make Babe Ruth great, right? Huge distinction. In 1921, for example, a popular science journalist went to find out. Hugh S. Fullerton took Ruth after a game to Columbia University's physiological department, where 2 researchers awaited him. And Columbia has been a big problem, right? Columbia University is where the African who consumes heroin for a work-life balance is at. We know that's where the Frankfurt School set up shop, critical theory birthplace. Columbia's a big problem. And I mean, has Columbia University made contributions to American society? I'm gonna have to, I don't want to add more to my plate, but I'm definitely going to do some searches and figure out how Columbia University got its start. I mean, at least Harvard and Yale. Harvard gave us college football, Harvard and Yale gave us college football. And then they also gave us, what's it called? I mean, Dr. Oliver Wendell, 1821, claims, from Harvard, claims that he played a version that's the precursor to baseball, 1821. So the Negro League is nowhere near the founding of, maybe in the future, the Negro Leagues will be the founding for MLB, but we're not interested in the founding of MLB. We're interested in the founding of American baseball. So that's definitely, I'm cool with that. Again, that's why we're going to take all of the American pioneer stuff with us. You can do your Negro League thing. Power to you. But not American baseball. Okay. So, gotta figure out what happened with Columbia. For sure. And I'm just clearing this stuff. Something I don't like is these email threads. Because then it's like, okay, worst and newest message. But anyway. They led Babe Ruth into the great laboratory of the university. Fullerton wrote, figuratively took him apart, watched the wheels go round. After a surely exhaustive study, he wrote, the secret of Babe Ruth's batting, reduced to non-scientific terms, is that his eyes and ears function more rapidly than those of other players, that his brain records sensations more quickly and transmits its orders to the muscles much faster than does that of the average man. So this is Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth was literally born to play baseball. His eyes, his ears are the reason why he's the home run king, as opposed to Hank Aaron, the original compiler, who required 4,000 more at-bats to reach Babe Ruth's milestone and then surpass it. Or as opposed to Barry Bonds, who required steroids, another African, right? Or as opposed to Barry Bonds, who required steroids in order to reach the milestone. So the original home run king remains Babe Ruth. You can, if you want to celebrate compiling Hank Aaron, then I already know that you are either African, a Marxist, or something in there. Like, so I tweeted out, when Hank Aaron died, I started to hear a lot of nonsense. And that's why I tweeted out just a very simple chart comparing Hank Aaron and Babe Ruth. And I said, I didn't put their names there, but I tweeted out, pick your baseball player. And there is a sports radio talk show host who was forced to say that he would pick Babe Ruth over Hank Aaron because Babe Ruth has more championships. Well, you pick Babe Ruth because he was obviously more efficient too. I don't have that up, but maybe in a future stream, let's just compare Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron. And let's compare efficiency then. Babe Ruth did a lot. Not only that, but Babe Ruth pitched too. You're never going to be able to take the crown away from Babe Ruth. It's never going to happen. Babe Ruth is the greatest American baseball player ever. Babe Ruth is the greatest American athlete, and Babe Ruth is a really outstanding American icon. Now, if you're a nerd, then you're obviously envious of Babe Ruth, and you need to figure that out for yourself, because the men who watched Babe Ruth play and the men who made an effort to be there at the old Yankee Stadium in 1947, they weren't envious of Babe Ruth. They celebrated Babe Ruth. They celebrated Babe Ruth as an American. So if you envy Babe Ruth, that says a lot more about you than it does about Babe Ruth. And I'm gonna get into some stuff that's going to anger the weakest among us. And again, I'm not sure if this is Darwinism, but I don't know, maybe we can start calling it Monica-ism. But I definitely have opinions about the weakest among us, and it's going to anger a lot of people. But somebody needs to start talking about these things. It just happens to be a woman, a female, born in the United States, raised in the United States, who is Mexican, but maybe it's the Spanish blood, maybe it's the Euro blood that led me to, and obviously it's the hand of God. I mean, come on, right? Like, jeez, it's a lot. Trust me, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. It's because I keep confronting these coincidences, and I'm just like, man, it's overwhelming. It was overwhelming as a teenager to be told a lot of realities about life, and to be told the things that I was told, and to be presented with stuff that proved it. As a teenager, it was overwhelming. And then I had a very unique college experience, and some of those things were overwhelming too. And I do not want any young ladies to follow in the path that I did. This is not, you have to be very sure in yourself. You have to have a thick skin. You have to accept a lot of things. This is not the path that I want young ladies to follow. I rather you follow even Lauren Southern. Lauren Southern looks great. She has lost weight. She looks amazing, and she's married, and she has a beautiful son, and she seems happy. Maybe follow, not, again, you have to be, to do what Lauren Southern did before she got married and became a mom, that's still something you have to be very strong. You have to be very self-assured. You have to accept the consequences of your choices. You have to be able to take everything slung at you. And I believe Lauren Southern still gets a lot of stuff slung at her. You have to be very strong. And at the same time, you have to be lucky. I have a lot of friends that attempted to become pregnant in their late 20s and they couldn't. It didn't happen for them. And it caused a rift between them and I. Because I did give birth. I am a mom and they aren't, and they're very resentful for that. And they're not, it's not personal. It's just, it's confusing to them why they weren't blessed with children. They who wanted it, they who've always wanted to become a mom, and myself who was mild on that, did become a mom. But I haven't revisited any of that. I don't know how much age played a role into it, and then lifestyle. So I'm not here to be a role model for young ladies. There are others for you to look up to. I'm here to gear potential alphas to talk about stuff that needs to be talked about. And again, we know that it will cause us to get put on no-fly lists, and we will be threatened financially, and we will be censored, and we will be blocked, and we will be canceled. But the founders were under greater, I believe 4 of the men who signed the Declaration of Independence, their homes were burnt to the ground. And then a couple of others, I think, were murdered. So, shit's gonna hit the fan. And we don't know how the cards or the dominoes will land, but shit's gonna hit the fan. And everyone isn't gonna make it out alive or in one piece. So if you want to cry about your friend's bank account being seized, what the hell was he doing with that much money in the first place? What was he going to do with it? Why do you need to be flying around the country? There are so many other methods. You're showing your lack of brain power. You're showing your lack of intelligence at this point when you just sit there complaining. And under Darwinism, you can't really be a leader if you are showing your lack of intelligence. So figure it out. If your Lauren Southern can figure it out, dude, she makes you guys look stupid. So figure your shit out. Okay, so back to Babe Ruth, the original topic of the day. We are remembering Babe Ruth on the anniversary of his death, August 16th, 1948. He was 53 years old, passed away from cancer. But even though Babe Ruth passed away at the age of 53, Babe Ruth lived very much a complete life. He had children, he was married, he enjoyed the Roaring 20s in New York. He put the New York Yankees on the map. His career was perfect. It wasn't engineered. It was random enough so that his teams won because he contributed, and they won when they were the best. 7 championships to his name, several batting titles, several home run, RBI, batting average titles. He even garnered an ERA title. Babe Ruth is the greatest American baseball player ever. MLB will never engineer. MLB will never find anything that comes close to him, especially foreign. I'm gonna defend Japan on a specific topic that is sports related. I'm gonna defend Japan. So by criticizing Shohei Ohtani, I am not criticizing Japan or the Japanese. But I am criticizing the stupidity of the Shohei Ohtani narrative. I know MLB is desperate for ratings, but it's a bet that they made. They themselves caused their ratings to plummet because what they did was they bypassed the market. As soon as the gate receipts no longer mattered to MLB for profit, reasons, MLB bypassed the market. And by bypassing the market, MLB generated something that Americans aren't interested in watching. So I read the ratings for their Iowa game. Congratulations for being finally able to compete with a Mexican soccer game on a Spanish channel on American soil. Way to go! You can now compete with Mexican soccer on a Spanish channel on American soil. What I'm more interested in is this is the highest rated MLB game since 2005. And so I am extremely interested in finding out what that game was. So my go-to on sports, professional sports television ratings is, and I can't remember, so I'm looking him up. He calls himself, his Twitter is Sports Media Watch, and he is John Lewis, aka Paulson. I don't know what that's about. I thought I read doctor somewhere. I'm not sure. If he pulls it up, the highest rated MLB game from 2005, that would be outstanding. Or if somebody else can pull that up and I'll find it on Twitter, that would be awesome. Otherwise, I will find it on my own. But I'm really curious what happened in 2005. So we know, when did the steroid stuff come to light? Is this the steroids year? Is this the steroids, the year of the steroids report? Is that what? Because, right, MLB blames the strike, the 1994-1995 strike. So MLB blames the players for the plunging television ratings, right? Oh, you guys went on strike. You built a bad relationship with the fans. It's your fault. But no, MLB is responsible for the drop in the ratings. So I'm not sure what happened in 2005 because it's not the blackouts. So the blackouts have nothing to do with MLB's continued drop in the ratings. It added to it, sure, but I think you should try it. Lift the blackouts and let's see what happens. Let's see how much everything rises. I don't think it will be significant, but I'm sure MLB will see a bump. So I'm curious what happened in 2005 that led, I mean, let's think about this, right? So in 2005, there was an MLB game that garnered 5 million viewers. And in 2021, MLB games garner as low as 200,000 viewers. Their Sunday night games hover around somewhere 1 million. Whereas Mexican soccer games on Spanish channels on American soil garner 5 million. They go down to about 2.5 million. And again, I haven't done this analysis yet, but what's the audience of Univision compared to what's the potential audience reach of Univision as opposed to Fox, as opposed to ABC, as opposed to ESPN, as opposed to cable Fox, FS1, like what's the reach of all these outlets? And I would just love another wonderful laugh when we do some comparative reach numbers. Like, come on, you expect me to respect you? You don't, right? MLB understands why I don't respect you. And then your Marxist media members, you understand why I have zero respect for you, right? And then there's some MLB players, zero respect for you. Like, you understand why, right? It's not me waking up one morning and saying, ooh, I'm just going to say mean things and I'm just going to cuss them out. I didn't wake up one morning and decide this. I've been researching this stuff, I guess, for about 2 years now. And I've been suspicious since 2017. So, I mean, you understand, right? Like, this isn't me just... It's not like some in MLB who are jerks just to be jerks, right? Like, I have researched and analyzed and compared and read and done a lot of stuff to get me to this point. So it's not just me doing this just to do it. So John Lewis, if you're a doctor, I'm not sure. I have to double check. I thought I read that somewhere. But if he pulls up this information, that would be outstanding. Otherwise, I will have to find it on my own. So Babe Ruth. Today we remember Babe Ruth and we celebrate the life of the greatest American baseball player ever to walk on American soil. The greatest American athlete. Jordan and Brady, you're second place. Everybody else at this point, I guess, is just fighting for third. Babe Ruth has the perfect career, demonstrated by this chart. And then, to further illustrate this point, we have... There it is. I love this chart. We see Babe Ruth's pitching and batting statistics in every season that he pitched. So if you're not satisfied with the chart on my side, then there's this other chart that further proves the awesomeness of Babe Ruth. The greatest American baseball player ever to live, a great American icon, a life worth celebrating, a man born to play baseball. Science proved it. We know this, right? We look at his career. We know Babe Ruth was born to play baseball, but science backed it up. One more time. Fullerton wrote, "The secret of Babe Ruth's batting, reduced to non-scientific terms, is that his eyes and ears function more rapidly than those of other players, that his brain records sensations more quickly and transmits its orders to the muscles much faster than does of the average man." So Hank Aaron required 4,000 more at-bats to compile statistics that came near to Babe Ruth. African Barry Bonds required steroids to compile statistics that came close to those of Babe Ruth. Driveline baseball, along with MLB's Marxist loser nerds, that's what they were doing. What they were doing was using technology to engineer the gift that was given to Babe Ruth. One of their loser nerds, I remember, tweeted out that all of MLB's engineering was close to finding the eye thing that Babe Ruth possessed. So that's why they sell you on, oh, look at the way the ball spins. Oh, look at how fast the ball reached the plate. That's why there was such an uproar by loser nerds, like, and then their bots, like Alex Wood. There was such an uproar when there was some sort of comparison done with players of today and Randy Johnson, Curt Schilling, and a few others. There was an uproar among all the loser nerds because I feel, from my understanding, it invalidated the loser nerd argument on velocity. So somebody pointed out that during Randy Johnson's days, the ball was timed. I can't remember. One is timed when the ball crosses the plate and the other is timed at the release. So something in that caused an uproar from the MLB loser nerd community. So essentially the jig is up, right? Randy Johnson pitched just as hard as cheaterbot Garrett Cole. The difference is Garrett Cole's pitches are either measured when they cross the plate or at the release point, and one of them makes it seem like they're pitching faster. And that's, the jig is up. The jig is up. Oh, isn't that sad? So sad. Oh, I revel in your tears. Like, you don't know all of this darkness that I've encountered exploring all this stuff, like the Jews and MLB Marxists. Moments like that make it worth it. Like, I can get through another year of researching this stuff because I have this memory of loser nerds losing their shit because they've been discovered. Like, when was it? 2019. The loser nerds, MLB's loser nerds, were in tears because ESPN or SportsCenter didn't acknowledge, first of all, they didn't acknowledge any MLB players in their top something list, right? So all of MLB's loser nerds were crying because there was no acknowledgement of Mike Trout. So it was either something like athletes from the decade or athletes from the year or something like. And it's fucking hilarious. They were in tears. So not only was it a wonderful way to wrap up the year, it was a wonderful way to wrap up the decade. To like MLB's loser nerds crying because their little mascot Mike Trout wasn't acknowledged. Like, and obviously Tom Brady was at the top of the list, and I don't remember who else was in it. I don't remember if the list was like top athletes of the decade or top athletes of the year, but Mike Trout wasn't on it, and it caused all the loser nerds to lose their shit. It was such a wonderful, wonderful way to wrap up the year and to wrap up the decade. I love it. Oh, so sad. Anyways, so one more time. Today, on August 16th, we celebrate the life of the greatest American baseball player to ever live. George Herman Ruth Jr., also known as Babe Ruth, also known as the Sultan of SWAT, also known as, I don't know all the other nicknames off the top of my head, but they had a bunch of them, right? And rightly so. I mean, he passed away at the age of 53, but he lived a full life. He was married, he had children, he enjoyed the Roaring '20s in New York. He put the New York Yankees on the map. He had the greatest career ever. There's nothing engineered about it. It's random. Babe Ruth's championships didn't come all at the beginning of his career. They didn't come all at the end. They're not clustered. His contributions always helped his team get to the playoffs and win. As we can see, during championship years, Babe Ruth garnered batting titles in home runs, RBIs, and won in batting average. He even garnered an ERA title in 1916. 173, was it 173 or 175? So the greatness of Babe Ruth will never be carbon copied by MLB. Your media, MLB Marxist media voted awards are a fucking joke. So much mediocrity among those ranks. So much mediocrity voted into the Hall of Fame where Babe Ruth resides in the last 2 decades or so. Lots of mediocrity, so embarrassing. None of those guys deserve. Randy Johnson does, Curt Schilling does, but very few others deserve to reside in the same hall as Babe Ruth. So much mediocrity. I mean, they vote them in just because, like, Ichiro is Ichiro Japanese? The only reason why Ichiro garners attention from the MLB Marxist media is because he's Japanese. There's nothing great about Ichiro. And again, this isn't me attacking Japan. I'm going to defend Japan on a sports related topic soon. It's just another mediocre narrative engineered by MLB, and it's Marxist, and it's Jews, and it's Africans, and it's Latinos. So embarrassing. I don't want Mexicans to fall into that trap with Julio Rios, a domestic abuser, crippled, thug, covered in tattoos. I mean, I have a sense of urgency with Mexico now. I didn't realize that the Jewish presence in Mexico is significant, not in numbers, but in power. Got to do something about that. That's the reason why I've noticed this uptick in female empowerment nonsense in Mexico. We've got to take care of it now before it turns into something the way it's turned here in the United States. So basically, Mexico is probably experiencing its 1960s moment thanks to the Jews. We've got to do something about that sooner rather than later. And we can in Mexico. We can definitely do something about it in Mexico as opposed to the United States, where World War I and World War II killed off so many potential alphas. Mexico hasn't experienced that. The alphas are still there in Mexico. We've got to, maybe we don't have to go full on machista, but we do need to go full on Mexican nationalism. I mean, there's so many Mexican nationalists on American soil. We need your Mexican nationalism in Mexico. And we need to start finding the most intelligent among us. Engineers, leaders. We need. It's definitely a sense of urgency. I appreciate, VDare. I think VDare has done a lot of research on Mexico. I've seen another article. I don't know if it came from VDare on the Mexican Constitution and how they allow who can become a citizen of Mexico, and it's tough. They treat immigrants as second class citizens, and if they didn't, can you imagine how much more Jewish influence there would be in Mexico? So we've got to do something about that. We've definitely got to figure out who these Jews in Mexico are and start depowering them. And it's going to be easier to do a lot of things in Mexico than it would be here in the United States. And then maybe from there it carries over to the United States. Because I know a lot of Americans fear the Jews for some reason, like Alex Jones. What a coward. Again, Alex Jones has delivered on a lot of things, but on the really, really important stuff, I'm very suspicious of why he refrains from speaking the truth. I will tell you, one of the last episodes of Alex Jones's show that I watched, for some reason, I don't know if there was some sort of Jewish milestone happening, but this is when he brought Cernovich on as some sort of employee, and they spent like 2 days talking about the Holocaust and the Jews, and I'm not sure what that was supposed to accomplish. Anybody who is as informed as Alex Jones knows that the Jews had a large role in what happened in Germany in the early 1900s. They weren't just innocent victims walking around Germany. There was shit going on. And I compare it to what's happening in the United States in 2021. So I'm suspicious of what Alex Jones is. I'm just suspicious. And if you don't realize that America and Mexico have the same, the source of the problems in Mexico and the United States is the same one, and you don't want to deal with the source, then you're the one that has no use. It's just a dog chasing its tail. It's a stupid circle it's a stupid cycle to continue. And I don't know. Is this America's destiny? I hope not. I mean, I would think not, given that America is Christian. I wouldn't think this is America's destiny in 2021. So I'm not sorry for my opinions. I've done a lot of research. I look at both sides of a lot of things. I've done my due diligence, and I stand by my opinions. I'm not scared. I know stuff can happen, but I'm at peace. My conscience is clear. And there's something about me that my mom points out to me all the time. And maybe that's something, I can tell you it's that something that doesn't allow me to sit around and feel sorry for myself. I don't feel sorry for myself, and maybe it's my protective shield that I need in order to keep going. We don't know. I mean, there's talks of the end. There's just a lot of talks, right? And so we don't know how many restrictions the illegitimate Biden administration is going to attempt to set down. We have to be ready. That's all I know. We have to be ready. And I will get into more details about how you get ready. Obviously, the preppers are very ready. You can purchase your food for a year or something. So there's a lot of stuff out there, but you've got to consider where you're going to get your water source from. Or where are you going to get your water from? You need a source of water for that stuff. So there's a lot to consider. My advice is, if you have any health issues, if you have any dental issues, get them fixed as soon as possible before you're not allowed to go see a doctor, before you're not allowed to go see a dentist. Get your work done now. Lose weight now. Get your diabetes levels checked. Or whatever contributes to diabetes, get your cholesterol level checked, and then do something about it if you come out too high on any of those basic tests that are used to establish baselines of your health. And I'm going to tell you something else. I've been involved in some studies, and again, I get asked for my opinion a lot. And there is a corporation doing some really cool things, but they're Marxist too. So it's hard. How do you balance that, right? But they're still doing some really cool things, and I tell them, because they want to advertise too, and I tell them that you can advertise all you want, and you're going to capture the people that are most proactive about their health. But unfortunately, the majority of people will not do anything about this. I have firsthand experience. Again, I know somebody who is older than me, isn't married, doesn't have a girlfriend, has no kids. So all of his disposable income he uses to buy stuff. He doesn't play video games a lot, but he buys stuff. That's MLB's target audience. And I also know somebody who wants to lose weight, but then you find this person eating stuff that they're not supposed to be eating. So there's an intelligence factor. Obese people, there's something missing intelligence-wise, because a big part of intelligence is self-restraint, right? American men aren't the rapists, even though that's how Jewish Hollywood portrays them in every show you watch. We all know that it's the Africans raping women, right? They rape their own, they rape their sisters, they rape their moms. And sure, now you have mentally ill males raping their moms. But that's thanks to the Jews, right? That's something that they've been rolling out at least since the 1960s. That was intentional. They don't let us. They shut, like Cassandra Fairbanks says, they shut down the asylum. So now we live amongst the mentally ill who rape their moms. That's a Jewish creation. But before that, it was standard and known that rape is wrong. American men of European descent with higher IQs than the males of today established that rape is wrong. So there's a lot. There's just so much in there. There's so much in there. And I know that it burns a lot of people, even Americans, you betas. It burns you that a big dude like Babe Ruth could be the greatest American baseball player ever. You got to live with it. Because again, the men who used to go watch Babe Ruth play didn't envy him. Maybe they wanted to be him, but more so they celebrated him as their countryman. Babe Ruth, greatest American baseball player. They were proud of that. And obviously those of you who are less than physically, mentally, and everything else, you're envious of that. And that's your problem. So I'm going to start to wrap up. I went a good length today on the anniversary of Babe Ruth's passing. August 16th, 1948, age 53. But he lived a full life. I feel like he lived a full life. Babe Ruth, we're going to keep remembering him. We're going to keep celebrating these milestones because it's the way that we keep his memory alive at a time when Jews, Marxists, Africans, and others are trying to erase it. We're living right now at this time, so we have to keep it alive. So I will not be streaming the rest of this week. So my wisdom tooth does feel a lot better, but I need to do some more stuff, and I want to gain momentum. So September will be my month where I believe I can schedule everything around my live streams, which will be Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. There will be times where I log in a little bit later. So I think what I'm going to do next week, I'm trying to think if I have something next week. I will do my presentation on the men who signed the Declaration of Independence. 53, I believe. I'm not sure if it's 53 plus 1 or 53 total. But I will be talking about them finally because they also deserve their due. Because a lot of you are not taught American history in public schools anymore, even the privates, right? So they need their due. So I encourage you to look over my charts. Remember Babe Ruth, the greatest American baseball player ever, the greatest American athlete ever, and a truly wonderful American icon. So I will see you guys next week for sure. Monday, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll be talking about the men who signed the Declaration of Independence. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope that you learned something from the people who gained their country in the Middle East. Men who have no tech, men who have very little resources, men who are not supposed to be more intelligent than you, but they, I guess, make it up with masculinity. You should be ashamed that those guys outdid you. Nonetheless, I want to leave everybody on a good note. So I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope that you accomplish stuff, you take care of yourself, you get stuff done, you prepare for whatever's coming next. And I will see you Monday, the 23rd, I believe. 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you for watching.